A couple months back, an outbreak of measles took place at Disneyland in Anaheim, causing a debate to be brought to the forefront once again.
Yeah, immunizations for your children is something that most parents still practice. However, there is a growing trend of parents not immunizing their children. And joining us now to discuss immunization is Dr. Paul Affec. Did I say
Affec?
Affec. That's
There
how
you go.
say your last name.
We were talking about the fact that Brummett Affec, we're going to start a club that no one pronounces our names
I know, right?
I even have an Aflac hat that a patient got me one time.
There you go. Nice little reminder.
You can't win.
All right, so doctor, obviously, big question, a lot of people talking about vaccines. This is a hot topic, especially for parents. How do vaccines work? Let's just start there.
Well, what happens when your body gets exposed to any type of infection, it makes antibodies that eventually will get rid of the infection. But there's a time lag before it can do that. In the meantime, the disease can get a hold of you and cause illness or even death. So what the idea of immunizations do is they expose you beforehand to either the virus or part of the virus or a killed virus, so your body has antibodies that are all ready to go as soon as you get infected. And hopefully they'll be able to prevent the disease completely, or at least you get a much milder case.
Okay.
So
That's great.
Are there any risks to getting vaccines?
look, everything has risk.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I give patient, every treatment has potential risks
Yeah.
and benefits. To me, the immunizations seem pretty clear that the benefits far, far outweigh the risks. The risks are very small. For most vaccines, maybe less than 1 in a million. And the benefits are huge. I mean, we've totally wiped out diseases
Yeah.
that used to be scourges even when I was a kid. I mean, not all that long ago.
Yeah.
Or maybe that long ago, depending on how long I was. But it doesn't.
Well, so, of course, obviously, I have a 3-year-old daughter. I'm a helicopter parent. I'm very paranoid. I want to make sure she's healthy. Annalise started getting hers, I think, at 6 months, I believe.
2 months, usually.
2 months,
Yep.
okay. So, as a doctor, parents out there, you recommend that they get their kids these immunizations. Is that
Right.
that's your stance on it?
Because these diseases are always around. As we've seen with the measles epidemic, and who thought about measles? We think it's gone, it's just something that happened a long time ago. It's there.
Right.
I mean, the CDC uses the sort of analogy of a boat with a small leak in it. The boat's full of water, you're bailing like mad, and you get it all nice and dry, and you think, great, I'm done. But you're not. You can't just throw the bucket away and say everything will be fine. It's going to fill back up with water again. And there have been plenty of instances. A classic one is in Japan in the mid-1970s, where they went from an 80% rate of protection for pertussis, for whooping cough, down to almost 0. And it came right back. And
Wow.
41 kids died. There were 13,000 cases of pertussis where there'd been none before.
Yeah.
They went back to immunizing again, and they're back down to 0 again.
nice.
These diseases are always out there,
Yeah.
just waiting for a chance to get back in again.
And there are multiple vaccines, correct?
Right.
And
many
the hot
vaccines.
topic one where we've been talking about recently in the news and everything is the measles one. But I know
Right.
the chickenpox one is something that I know I got when I was a kid.
Right.
And so it's just kind of a big talker because, and we talked about this in the news too, it's not just your child.
Sure.
When you don't get the vaccine, you put others at risk because
Right.
of your decision.
Because there are children who can't get vaccines because of immune problems.
Right.
There are babies who have a window of time that
Right.
they're not really well vaccinated.
Yeah.
But these things are always there.
Right. Well, so,
Yep.
obviously, doctor, this really, I think, has been kind of at the head of this is the ideas of that autism can be derived from this vaccination. Mercury, how mercury affects in the vaccine.
Right.
What is the truth behind that?
Well, part of the problem with autism was started by a doctor named Andrew Wakefield in England, who published an article in a journal, The Lancet, very prestigious British medical journal. And it turned out the article was totally false. And actually the Lancet later published a retraction of it, and he actually had his license revoked in England. It was just basically he was in cahoots with an attorney who was going to be suing on kids damaged or having autism from the vaccine. So this left a lasting impression on people that there's maybe a cause. And there are a lot of questions about autism. The rate seems to be rising. Clearly something is going on. But the connection between vaccines in general and the MMR, the mumps, measles, rubella, has really been almost completely eliminated. I mean, clearly there are some environmental factors going on here, a
Right.
huge amount of research being done, and nobody knows. But I
Right.
think from the vaccine point of view, that's really now been
Because
shown
of
to
that
not
one
be an
article,
issue.
Yeah.
it really
That
just kind of
really
stuck.
just does not have a connection.
Gotcha.
There
Okay.
are probably a lot of other environmental toxins and problems going on, and we do need to figure it out, but vaccines don't really seem
We need
to
to
be the
rule that
problem.
out so we can find the source of this, the
Yeah.
legitimate
Yeah,
source
and
of
the
it.
mercury issue, there's a chemical called thimerosal, which is added to vaccines when you have multi-dose vials, where you draw more than one immunization from each vial just to prevent infections. Ironically, because there had been a lot of infections from these vials before. So they started putting this chemical in, but then there were concerns about the mercury in it, so it's actually been removed.
Yeah.
I think since 1990 or 1991 now, there is no thimerosal in any childhood vaccine.
Good
The
to
only
know.
ones that still have it are the multi-dose flu
Yeah.
vials, and you can get single-dose flu vials
Yeah.
also.
Well, we'll keep the discussion going at CASA.com, folks. Doctor, thank you for
Thank you.
coming in.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
A lot of
sharing
good
this
stuff there.
information. Yeah, so again, guys, for more information, head over to CASA.com.